This is Northwest Connects. I'm Kurt Radel, Waycross Community Media. We welcome the Superintendent of Northwest Local School District, Daryl Yater. Daryl, it's the start of the 2024-2025 school year, and the district recently rolled out its One Plan. Now, would you provide an overview of this plan and its key objectives?
So we're excited to roll out our One Plan. It is an annual process that we review our goals and objectives, but every 3 years, we have to update our plan with the state for our continuous improvement plan. And so as we went through a process, and this process started in January. So this conversation has been happening strategically and intentionally with various groups for about 6 months. And through that process of doing a needs assessment, really digging into the needs of the district, the data, what it's telling us, and where we want to go, we developed a One Plan. And this One Plan has 3 main areas that really were called out by all of the focus groups, the conversations we had, and the data we looked at. One is about academics, really focusing on and raising the academic achievements to exceed state standards. The second one is about chronic absenteeism. A lot of districts are struggling across the state with absenteeism rates with their students, and so really focusing on making sure that our families and our students understand school is important and absences are really a detriment to student performance and achievement in the long run. And then the third one is about behavioral expectations, really making sure our classroom environments and our environments in general are suitable to the learning environment that we want to have.
Now, tell me about the One Plan specifically is aimed to improve academic outcomes and address the issues like students being absent, chronic absenteeism, and classroom management.
Yeah, so our plan really brings those 3 areas together in a unified approach that when students are at school, in class, and learning, their achievement will continue to grow. So those 3 areas are our key focus areas. We have really aligned how we're going to measure and monitor the impact that we're having with our staff so that we can make sure that our classroom environments, our school environments are all operating effectively, that our instruction is having the impact that it needs to have, and that our students are showing up and that their attendance rates are better.
Now, what strategies and resources are being put in place as part of the One Plan to support the teachers as well as the students?
So although we talk about this being a district plan, this really is something that goes to our schools and our departments as well. So really making sure that we have a shared vision of what the outcome will be and the accountability measures in place to monitor it. So all of our buildings are building strategies and teams to really dig in and monitor the implementation of attendance strategies, communication with parents, classroom management strategies, behavioral outcomes for students, and academic achievement to make sure that all of our students are achieving at the highest possible level. So we have teams across the district who are really digging into this work and coming up with very customized, prioritized, and strategic strategies for their specific locations.
Now, how will the success of the One Plan be measured, and with that, what kind of benchmarks or indicators will the district use to assess the programs?
So we're an extremely data-driven organization, and so we have already outlined what success looks like, and so we know what our end goal is in 3 years. We know what our current baseline is for chronic absenteeism that is reported on the state report card, and we know in 3 years where we expect to be. We will be monitoring all of those data points consistently and regularly over the next 3 years. And in fact, we're going to be building dashboards that will be public facing so that as we report data to the state about how we're doing, we're going to be reporting it to our community as well. So that transparency will be there so people can see in all those different areas how we're doing.
Well, you mentioned the dashboards, and as the plan unfolds, now how will you keep the community informed, but also involved in the process?
So a lot of our strategies involve family engagement, making sure that our families understand our shared priorities, our goals, our strategies, and how they can be a part of the solution as well. This is not a one-size-fits-all model. So our schools are developing very specific strategies for their specific school based on the data they have and the families they serve. And so those are going to be very customized and contextualized to each building, but our families are integral to this. Our community partners are integral to this. And so it is, as I've said many times before, this is a shared vision for the entire district, but it takes a village. And so having those points of entry for our families and our community partners to really help leverage those resources to maximize the student experience is something we always look for.
Now that we move on to another subject, cell phones. Elaborate on the district's, you're smiling, on the district's cell phone free learning space policy.
So this is not a new concept. So we have had a policy in place for multiple years that limits cell phones, especially at the elementary and middle school, where cell phones for years have not, the expectation has been they're not seen, they're not used, and they're not accessed anytime throughout the school day. And so this is not a new concept to have a cell phone free environment. What is new is some of our strategies. And so there's obviously been a lot of conversation with this from the governor statewide, and on just the culture and climate of a building and a student experience with some of the things that students are using the phones for. So we are changing some of our strategies on how we get to that, but the expectation has always been a cell phone free environment.
What do you hope to accomplish with this policy?
So we're going to make sure that our students focus on the reason they're there. Learning is the most important thing that we can do for our students. So we're going to make sure that that academic focus, that rigor is there. We want our students to have a holistic student experience. So we want them to not only be in school achieving, but we want them to build relationships, understand how when they get into the world of work, they're going to have to be able to collaborate and communicate in a real world environment with a job, and they're going to be able to meet those expectations. So we're going to really focus on making sure that our students are prepared for what comes next for them, no matter what that next step is. It could be enlistment, enrollment, entrepreneurship, or going into the world of work.
Daryl, you talked about the community being informed and everything else. Now, how will the families learn about the specific expectations for their child in relation to this and other topics?
So our families stay engaged through our buildings. Our buildings communicate through newsletters, through parent communication portals, and so we really want our parents to stay engaged with the buildings. They will continue to have open houses and engagement events. Their PTA is a great way to get involved. So our families will learn all the specifics they need to know about the building expectations at the building level, so they can visit the website and they can make sure they're engaged. As we've talked through the one plan and the cell phone free policy, there's so many things happening in the district. All of these things coalesce and come together into a very unified approach to make sure that we are maximizing student experience, making sure they are prepared for their next step, and supporting our staff to make sure that they have the resources they need so that all of this works together to make sure that at the end of the day, our students get the most out of their educational experience while they're with us.
Daryl, thank you once again. Appreciate it. This has been Northwest Connects. I'm Kurt Radel, Waycross Community Media. We'll see you next time.